How often do you need a good old-fashioned tea cake? This is an apricot tea cake. Now I've used dried apricots and almonds and cinnamon and all those sorts of flavours, but you could really easily pop in sultanas or maybe some dried pineapple or mango or dried cranberries. Flavour it any way you like. And let me tell you, it toasts beautifully. The Natvia goes into the recipe at the beginning with the butter. And this is a really special tip to tell you. It's essential that you beat the butter and the Natvia together until it's super light and fluffy, and that's where you get all your texture from, and that's where you actually get the cake to have a lovely smooth stability, so it actually has a beautiful texture, and I'll show you that at the end. I'm beginning with some unsalted butter. I like to use unsalted butter when I'm baking. I think it gives you a lovely texture and a very good flavour. Some butter and about 3 tablespoons of the Natvia. But pop onto the website and have a look at the recipe, and that's where you'll see a whole lot of tips as well. Beat that on high speed in a good mixer for about 7 to 8 minutes or until it's light and fluffy. Once you've creamed the butter and Natvia until it's beautifully light and fluffy, it's time to add the eggs. I'm going to add them one at a time and let them beat in a little bit between each. Now the mixture at this stage, it will actually separate just a little bit, but don't worry, adding the flour, the rest of the ingredients, it all comes back beautifully. So I'm going to combine flour, a little bit of almond meal, baking powder, maybe a little of our spices, but I'm going to leave some because I want to pop them on the top as well right at the end. Mix that in together, and then into the mix we'll be adding the flour mixture, sour cream, some buttermilk and some freshly grated cream. The fresh grated apple, it adds not only a subtle sweetness to the apricot loaf, it also gives it a really lovely texture. Now to offset the apple, we're also going to pop in a little bit of fresh orange rind or zest, and the whole thing just gets delicately combined. Flour, apricots, fresh apple, a little bit of sour cream, and yes, you can use sour light cream if you'd like to. A touch of buttermilk, which is always superb in a cake or in any baked recipe actually. A little bit of vanilla, and I'll leave my nuts for the top actually. I'm going to put some in and some on, but for the actual recipe, have a look on the website. Now that just needs to be lightly combined until it's mixed. So the secret to the recipe is to actually thoroughly beat the Natvia in the butter. That's where you're getting a beautiful texture, a light flavour, and a great development of that very even, wonderful crumb that you need. For all Natvia recipes, you do need to thoroughly mix, beat, whisk or cream, but I'll tell you that actually on the recipe. This now goes straight into my prepared pan and into preheated moderate oven for about 45 minutes, I think it is. Now in this recipe, because it is actually quite a heavy cake, it's a beautiful loaf, you do cover the recipe during the cooking to allow it to cook through evenly and thoroughly, and then remove that just at the end for a lovely golden top. Now this is one of those fabulous recipes that actually has very much an old-fashioned look to it, flavour to it, and colour to it. But because we've used Natvia, you've actually reduced the calories dramatically, and you're being a lot kinder to your health. Completely natural. It's fabulous, Natvia. It's absolutely one of the best products that you can use that's an alternative to sugar, but it gives you a fabulous result when you're baking. Onto the top of that, I've popped some coconut, a little bit of cinnamon, and some slivered almonds, and that now goes into here. How perfect is this? Good coffee, sweetened with a little Natvia.